Actually, this week I sent a prompt through, and the answer I got back was, I don't translate. So we had to argue about that for a while. I think we can get through this. So the first thing to say is that the AI just does things like this, and there is no rational explanation. Now, so what do we do when it happens? If it doesn't follow the rules, so you say, I told you, it put it in a paragraph. It does that frequently, once in 20 times maybe. All right. So you can try it one time and say, no, I told you to do it by segments. And that will usually work. But if there's anything after that, you should probably just start over. Because, it's like, okay, I told you to put it in segments. So then it puts it in segments, but it leaves off the tags. And you say, no, I told you to do tags too. And then it does the tags and the segments, but then it puts stuff in English. The road has started to wind. You just need to
Mhm.
go back. And the
Mhm.
and the best solution, and this should work. Okay, well, the first thing you should do is give it examples. So it screwed up the first one. Put in at least one example into your training data for correct. Maybe fix 3 or 4 segments and put those in and start over. And now it has an example to follow. That should work. I did have a job from hell about a month or so ago where this one actually probably did actually take longer than if I had not done the gate workflow. It was crazy. I don't know what happened. But one thing you can do is just go to a different section of text because what trips the AI off in these cases is just random coincidences within the connections. There is no rhyme or reason to why it would happen, but the AI can get in a fix about a particular segment of text for no explainable reason, just sets the AI off in the wrong direction, and you can't easily get it back. Well, just go to a different section of text. Maybe you had 15 segments, go back to 2 segments for the first one and get it to do the first 2 segments correctly and then give it the next 15 segments. Because here's the thing, if the AI gives you a particular response, that conditions it to give you the same response the next time. So if you can get it to give you good responses for a couple or 3, then segments 3, 4, and 5, it should be ready to go. That's the answer, which is why none of the CAT tools are able to get the AI to do what we're able to do manually because stuff comes up like this. And there's no way to solve it with an algorithm. You have to see the situation and you have to, you know, just get through it. And it can be tough. The AI just does weird stuff. I mean, one situation where you'll have problems with getting it to translate properly is when you're translating instructions because it might misinterpret your instructions as being your instructions to the AI,
Yeah,
not
that
text that you
happens.
want translated. And
Yeah,
actually,
that
that's
happens.
the one that was causing me the grief on that project I was mentioning before. So, I mean, there are any number of factors which can come into play. And I would say, and another thing you might is if the AI starts to act weird, just change the language. Take your prompt and switch it to French or switch it to another language or rewrite your instructions a different way. I don't know what it would be, but just use different wording for the same because we're not talking about a rational situation. We're just talking about a random coincidence of relationships, and we just want to change it up. Everything's worth trying, right? Because the AI is unpredictable. They say stochastic. So it can work one way or another. Pasting in a new prompt, pasting in the same prompt a second time, I guess it's where, once it starts to go off in a new direction, it's very hard to get it back through the ad hoc prompt. You can try it once and it might not work. But if it doesn't work on the first try, you're probably gonna, like you discovered, gonna have to go back. And
Mhm.
then it's just a matter of mixing things up. If you had 100 segments in there, I would say
Yeah.
the first step should be to reduce that to 30. And another thing you can do is that the AI has a recency bias, which means that what you can do, if it's really an instruction that's critical and you need it to do it, go ahead and right at the very end of your prompt, repeat it. But repeat it in different words if you can. Maybe even write it in a different language. Just something that gives the AI but the idea though is that you want to remind it one more time right at the end of what's really important. And that can work. We're talking about a toolbox of about 10 or 15 different hacks for this one problem, and none of them are guaranteed to work perfectly every time. We just have to mix it up. Here's the other thing you might do. Okay, let's say you have 30 segments, but it's giving you a problem. Well, what you might do is randomize those segments and put them back in. So it's the exact same segments in a new order. That might just mix the bag up enough for the AI to now do it right. There's no rhyme or reason to that. And the two problems you've described, they happen to me frequently as well. The extra space that's not necessary and the trying to put everything into paragraphs, both of those happen frequently. Yeah. It's a frustrating fact, but this is what we're working with, and it's why we as translators are the only ones who can take full advantage of this power. Everybody else is having to go with their algorithms to the safest route they can possibly find. But we can skirt the edges because whenever it gets off, we just push it back and keep going.